Staying behind closed doors used to mean safety, but today, a woman staying indoors with those she trusts is still not guaranteed of her safety.
How can it be that our girls, the women of Kenya, that expect us to love them, that now they are dying in the hands of men? We have a criminal problem and we have a moral problem. We need to address both of them.
Tunataka kuona the perpetrators of femicide brought to book. Any other life lost is one life too many, and we cannot afford that.
Most of the femicide victims in present time are murdered indoors by those they trust.
In the last 3 months alone, the country has reported 97 cases of femicide.
The fight against femicide is far from over. According to police report, in the last 90 days, the country has lost 97 women and girls in cases connected to femicide, with 30 of the women losing lives to their romantic partners.
The media has reported and highlighted the murders of at least 6 women whose bodies were dumped in Kware and Bakassi, shocking the entire country as well as the world.
Not all cases do reach the mainstream media, but for those that do, the family of the deceased usually cries for justice and accuses the government of delayed court hearings, endless adjournments of cases, and delayed investigations.
Wakaanza kutuzungusha. Tangu hii siku hatujapata haki ya mtoto. Sasa tutapata haki lini? Sisi kama wazazi tutapata haki lini? Ni mpaka lini hukuseka watoto wetu wataendelea kuuliwa? Na polisi tu sijui wanafanya nini? Hakuna kitu wanafanya hata kidogo.
The police have been accused of taking too long to respond.
Na polisi walikaa sana kama masaa mawili au matatu hivi, sababu walikuwa wanakuja kumchukua kama saa 3:30.
In fact, if anything, in all murder cases, the cops are always late, even to pick the cops of the late. Although some prime suspects have been arrested, it is sad to say that in our country, the arrest of a perpetrator does not mean justice for the deceased. Actually, it's nothing close to justice. Take the arrest of Collins Jumaisi Halusha, for example. A man who confessed to have killed 42 women in between 2022 and 11th July 2024. The man was arrested and even arraigned in court, but a month later after his arrest in July, it was announced that the perpetrator was missing and had escaped from police custody.
The main suspect in these horrific murders, Collins Jumaisi, escaped from Gigiri police station, and to date, his whereabouts are unknown. Further, the National Police Service is yet to issue a comprehensive statement on the circumstances that led to his escape and steps towards his rearrest and prosecution.
Up to this day, the story does not add up. Aside from that, we have also seen cases where arrests have been delayed. Seth Nyakio Njeri, a 23-year-old lady who was the only daughter of Kirinyaga-nominated MCA Lucy Njeri, was found dead in a rented room in Thika's Biafra estate. It was shocking news to the Kirinyaga lawmaker. But do you know what was more shocking than that? The fact that in her quest to seek justice, she was constantly faced with challenges such as delayed investigations and the insensitive attitude displayed by the police who were supposed to help her.
Na mimi nikamuuliza, na hata phone inaonyeshana kila kitu. Msichana mwenye walilala na yeye ako huko. Mnasema mtawashika siku gani? Wakaniambia tayari wameshika sijui wangapi. Lakini ni uongo, hawakushika because leo nimekuja, umeniona nimepata huyo msichana pale akicheka, akiwa ameketi kwa kiti, ameniona amekimbililia huku sijui kama ametoka, ametolewa na Subaru. Ya hao askari wenyewe wa huku ndio imemtoa, imeenda na yeye. Imeenda na yeye na hawakushikwa sababu huyo msichana alishikwa aje na nimempata pale.
According to her, the police were going round in circles and not cooperating to help her find justice. Now, If this is a member of parliament, a mheshimiwa, finding it hard to find justice, then how about an ordinary citizen like you?
And Kenyans are tired of being given poor services. Not even poor services. Unapelekwa hivi, kama mheshimiwa anapelekwa hivi, na mwananchi wa kawaida anapelekangwa aje?
Femicide cases have been on the rise in Kenya. From young university students to mature mid-aged women, no one is safe. Rich or poor, it does not matter. In fact, the trend has seen us lose several renowned female athletes who are rich, by the way, very rich, but we lost them in a similar style. Agnes Tirop and Rebecca Cheptegei are just but a few examples of renowned celebrity athletes who died at the hands of their intimate partners. In a country where what motivates the government to take action is either a bribe or a demonstration, Kenyans have had to demonstrate so as to be heard. In the beginning of the year 2024, concerned Kenyans took it to the streets protesting against the then surge of gender-based violence and femicide cases in Kenya. The demonstrations were peaceful and had positive impact because thereafter, relevant authorities kind of woke up a little bit. But then all through the campaign, there was a group of individuals who did not find the protests useful. Instead, according to them, the murder of those women was as a result of their own ignorance and immorality. They blamed the victims. They accused the deceased women of caring less about their safety, over trusting strangers, kukula fare, and for some cases like that of Starlet Wahu, who was a hooker killed by a client. They said that her death was a problem that she had brought to herself. And also that because being a call girl is a sin, it may be God punishing her so as to teach a lesson to others with the same practices. These negative sentiments caused a social media feud between what seemed like those advocating for the end of femicide versus a few characters who thought that the women were just careless. But this was not the time to argue. Remember, nothing can justify murder. Totally nothing. We all have a right to life. So by blaming the victims, they were affirming the perpetrators. This is human life we are talking about, a human being. We are talking about somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's mother, Women were being killed just by random men. But that was the case then. Recent cases do register ladies being killed by those they trust, those close to them, their intimate partners, their spouses. Thinking about it, how is a lady supposed to protect herself from someone who is supposed to be protecting her? How is she supposed to protect herself from someone attacking from the inside? Hard, right? I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think it's not just up to women to be on the lookout, but also for the society at large. Probably being keen to raise men who are principled and humble enough to handle rejection positively will reduce the number of femicide cases being reported. Take Ivy Wangeshi's murder for example. She was killed by her childhood friend who had turned into her suitor. In pursuit for her love, the man ended up spending over 200,000 on Ivy. He sent her so much money and even bought her expensive gifts.
So never stopped taking care of her, sending her money, not only for the birthday but supporting her in other ways.
But despite the effort, Ivy still rejected him, and as a result, the man ended up butchering Ivy in broad daylight.
I was too angry to think clearly. So, to think clearly, my thinking was greatly impaired by those events that happened right before my face. Can't even tell when I decided to pick the axe. I wasn't myself.
If only the man would have handled his rejection positively, then maybe Ivy's dream of becoming a renowned doctor would come to pass. Now, imagine those were people who were not married. They were not even dating. But the man was too entitled to an extent that he ended Ivy's life. It is painful to lose 200,000 shillings, but is it worth taking a life? And even if he took Ivy's life in revenge, he ended up ruining his own life. He ended a life, but also ended his life as a free man. Anyway, aside from that, some femicide cases have been reported in marriages. One might say that no normal husband would just wake up and decide to kill his wife. So as research indicates, most of the killings committed by married men are usually just a climax of a series of domestic violence. Take the case of Agnes Tirop, for example. The husband used to physically assault her. He would regularly beat her up, but every time it happened, Tirop forgave the husband and kept the whole thing a secret. She did not have the courage to walk away from an abusive partner, and neither was she ready to open up to anyone. Would she have walked away from the abusive partner, then maybe the Olympian would still be alive. Maybe. And not just her. For any other lady out there, why should you persevere in an abusive relationship? That kind of patience does not pay. Pain with no gain. Just report that man to the relevant authorities and walk away. Simple. Remember, the government has put some rules to protect you. The law will protect you. Now that is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the side that is a little bit ugly. And this is where most Kenyans have been forced to remind the government that though the government has put some legal frameworks aimed at protecting women from gender-based violence, the term legal only applies to the poor. Look at the late Mercy Keino's case where Honorable William Kabogo was involved. Or take the late Sharon Otieno's case where Governor Okoth Obado was involved. Similarities between the cases. Both cases, no one found guilty, prolonged court hearings with endless adjournments, mutilated evidence, and perpetrators getting away with the murder. It is evident that the richer the perpetrator, the more he stands a chance to get away with murder. These failed judicial systems may encourage more men to engage in femicide, because at the end of the day, they may just get away with it. It is sad, but unfortunately, that is exactly what it is. The recent murder of Wariz Dahabo Said, together with her daughter and the niece, have traumatized the whole nation. It is alleged that they were killed by a taxi driver whom they trusted. So all of a sudden, it has become dangerous to trust one taxi driver. The whole thing is a mess. The man has been arrested, and all we can pray for is for him not to escape from police custody or for him not to have enough money to bribe his way out. The whole thing is just a mess, and it's too wide of a topic to be discussed in one single video. Tell me what you think. What measures should be put in place so as to reduce the number of femicide cases reported? What about the corruption in our country? The whole thing is just a mess. If you've watched the video up to this point, please consider giving it a thumbs up and also press the subscribe button. If you have done that already, then I will see you in the next catchy narration.